Hello, it's your favorite sports Unc here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the fastest growing community on YouTube. Remember, Nightcap doesn't happen without you. So please subscribe or you're going to make Ocho cry. With no further ado, we got no more introductions to make. Here he is, the current world's fastest man, Olympic gold medalist in the 100 meters. He's a 3-time 200-meter champ at the World Championships. He anchored the gold medal winning team in the World Championship last year. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Noah Lyles. Noah, how you doing, bro?
Feeling good. What's popping?
Oh, I'm good. Let's get right into it. That race. Leading into it, you ran your fastest time leading the Diamond League meet. I think you ran 9.81. Yeah. You know Kashane Thompson has run 9.77, and everybody's talking. That's the man to beat. That's the man to beat. And you had never run sub 9.8. To run it in the finals when you absolutely had to have it. Tell me what was your strategy going into that race and how were you able to pull it off?
To be honest, I had many strategies. They all kind of, were thrown out the window the closer and closer we got to the finals. In the first round, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work on my first 60. I'm gonna get out. But I have ADD. So my brain is working on overdrive. It's like, well, we could get out easy and then hit it hard, or we can get it hard and then shut it down, or we can run fast all the way. And the problem was I thought too much, and then I underestimated my competition. It's like, nope, see, now you messed up. I'm like, all right, I need to calm my brain down. I needed to get it set on one goal. So we get to the semifinals. Now I'm like, all right, aggression, mindset, power, everything like that. And it produced, a really good time, 93. It tied again my second fastest time, which was my PR before London. So I'm like, all right, I'm good, but I feel I can go even faster. I didn't want to get beat, so here I am getting second in the semis. I'm like, what's going on? So my therapist calls me and she's like, you're running with aggression. You're running with a Noah that is not you. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. That's not me. That's an older way of thinking. That's just not how I run. It's like, you need to run free. Need to run with no pressure. Just go out there and run. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna just run. And she said, if you control the crowd, you control the race. And I know, I'm like, well, shoot, that's how I do. I'm a showman. That's what I do. All I gotta do is be Noah. If that's all that takes, I'm gonna win the race. So we're getting out there, and I'm just like, just be me, just be me, just be me. We get out there, and they're doing the intros, and Kashane comes out. Kashane, he ends up yelling, and I'm like, oh, hold on, that's me. That's what I do. But I didn't hold it for it. I liked it though, because I love to see more personalities come up than just look at the camera, say hi, walk out. It's like, nah, bring that energy. Like, get me excited to run. So, there's another YouTube video that NBC put out where it's like, you can see us in the back in the car room, Fred on the side, banging on the wall. It's like, let's go. Kashane's doing his yelling. I'm over here singing dreams and nightmares. I'm like, yeah, this is an Olympic final. This is an Olympic final. So, I go out, I'm jumping around, I'm running past the cameras, I'm yelling at the crowd, and they over here like, yeah, excited. I'm like, yeah, this is my race now. And from that point on, it was just repeating, God got me, God got me, God got me. Because at this point, I've done everything that I need to do to win this race. Everything that I needed to do has been done in months in advance. We're already here. Now it's just a believing in myself that it's going to get done. And it's not about running fast times. It's about running to win. The times will come when you run to win.
So you go out there and your reaction time isn't bad. Because normally you're like, your reaction time is a little slow, but I think you knew I really can't spot, as Justin Gatlin says, 9.8 can't catch 9.8 if you give up too much cushion. Yep. So your reaction time wasn't that much behind him. I think he was 0.176, and I think you were 0.178. And so you're really close, but you got the top end. You got 400 meter strength. You got 200 meter strength. So you've had to feel good. If I'm close to this joker at 50, 60 meters, I can get home.
Yeah, I knew I had a good lane when I saw Oblique Seville was going to be next to me. I'm like, this is the guy who's been beating me. He's beat me twice already. I know his strengths. I know where he's going to try and go on me. And the problem I feel is every time that's happened, I've been too many lanes away to see when he makes that move. So I'm like, now that I got you right next to me, I know when you're going to make your move, and I know I'm going to make it as soon as you make yours. And, thankfully he was there for that, and I was able to do that. And a lot of people get stuck on this reaction time and like, oh, he got out the block slow. I'm a numbers guy. I look at every 10-meter increment. I look at 5-meter increments, how fast I was to this part of the race, how fast I was in this, and at the end, in the beginning. So when I'm looking back at the race, I'm looking at the numbers. The numbers are actually very normal for me in the first 10 meters. It was probably it matches some of my fastest runs. The difference is everybody else said, I got to be better. I got to be more. I got to be more than I've ever been before. And they did. But in the end of that race, they tired themselves out. So you saw a time that was not representative of their PRs because they used so much energy trying to be that in the beginning of the race. But because I was, already on par for what I normally do, I just put an extra bit on the end, and it led me to running faster.
Hey, it's so funny when I sit here and think about it. When I think about running 100 meters, right? The margin of error is so small. You can't make any mistakes. And if you do make a mistake, whether it be in the start or depending on what phase of the race you do make that mistake in, the chances of coming back, since everybody is so fast and the race is so short, obviously only being 9 seconds, how do you process the race when you have so many different runners against you? Are you racing more so against them, or are you more so racing against yourself from a strategic standpoint?
Yeah, it's a patient race. It's very patient. A lot of people think, you just gas it from the get-go. You can't do that. There are many runners who are specialists in the 60, and then they come to the 100, and it's not always as representative. You don't see a transition, to the 100 and even to the 200.
Right.
So yeah, it's a patient race. And to answer your question on terms of athletes, there's a confidence in yourself, knowing that no matter who you race, you're going to still do what you've been doing in practice. But there's also a confidence in yourself that says, I love to compete. And when somebody pulls up on me, or somebody gets out on me, I'm going to catch them.
Right.
So it's a confidence thing. If you panic in that moment, it doesn't matter if you're racing the competitors or if you're saying, oh, I had a bad reaction time, I'm out of the race. It's the confidence to say, I'm going to get myself back into the race, or hold on, it's okay, I'm going to reel him back in. I'm going to catch him. Yeah. Give me a few meters. Don't tighten up, but I'm going to get to you. It's that confidence.
Can I ask you, Noah, let me ask you this. I was hoping that you and Kashane was next to each other because, like I said, we had Justin Gatlin on here and we had Michael Johnson on before this race took place. And I said the problem that I have is that Kashane has never been on the global stage. I said I understand the 977 at the trials, but the Olympics and the world stage is something different. I say if somebody can make him run the full 100 meters, we'll see if he can still hold that form when he's letting up at 80 meters. I think Big Fred, being next to him, put him under the gun. He applied pressure from the beginning all the way to the end. And if you look at his last 88, like 15, 20 meters, that form started to break. And that was the door that you needed to open just enough for you to put a foot in and eventually get your torso to the line.
No, I agree. It's very accurate. And another point to that is, a lot of people was like, oh, Kashane ran this time slowing down. And yes, it's very impressive that he ran those times slowing down. But unfortunately, you never took your body to running full speed. So when now you need it at the end, it's a new world. And unfortunately, you don't want to put yourself in a new world position in the Olympic final. But I do agree 100%. Putting pressure on it, Fred putting pressure on him, definitely was a bonus to me.
Go ahead, Ocho. Go ahead.
One minute. Hey, the piggyback off one of the key words that you said, obviously being on an Olympic stage, represent your country, 100 meters in Paris. Now you have experience running in big meets. You have experience being on the big stage. Does the pressure really affect you that much? And if it does affect you, what ways are you able to dodge it and suppress that pressure to be able to go out there and run the race that you need to?
The way that I view crowds and pressure, my coach said something that I felt like really got to me. He said, pressure can work in one of two ways. It can either boost you by 20%, or it can tear you down by 20%. You decide how you want that 20% to go. If you say, this is my opportunity, this is my moment, was made for me, that's a boost 20%. Right. If you're going in saying, shoot, I never raced these guys before, I don't know if I could do this, this is uncharted territory, what if I'm not prepared? A bunch of what ifs, that's 20% less than you're going to underperforming. That's not the mindset you want going into that. And that's how I view competing. Every time I get to a big stage, I believe that this is a moment that God has prepared for me. I put in the work in the natural. I'm going to believe that God put in the super, and together we're going to create the supernatural.
Yeah, I like
it. Okay, let's transition. You win the goal. You said that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to win the goal. There haven't been a whole lot of men, Noah, that have won the 100-meter goal and the 200-meter goal in the Olympics. We know what Usain Bolt did from 08 to 16. He tripled up. Carl Lewis, he doubled up. But it's not been a whole lot of men to win both of those races. And so I know you got the hard part out the way. Yeah. It was supposed to be your most challenging event was going to be the 100. You're a 200-meter specialist, kind of like Usain, that turned yourself into a great 100-meter runner. So now you get to the 200. When did you start to notice something like, damn, I'm coming down with something. I don't feel like Noah. My wind isn't, I'm not being able to breathe like I normally do.
To be honest, now looking back, there were signs the day of the finals of the 100 that I was like, this is taking too much energy to produce what I normally produce. But I just threw it to the side. And then I wake up the next day. So it's Monday now after the finals. And I have a sore throat. And I'm just thinking, oh, okay, maybe I just cheered a little too much. Maybe I was yelling a little too much. Even though I didn't really feel like I was, I just, put it off to that because, I had a job to do. It wasn't until I woke up in the middle of the night on Tuesday morning and my body is aching. I'm chills. I got a headache. My sinuses are running. My throat is super sore. I'm like, oh no. These are all the signs I get before I get COVID. And I called up the doctor in that moment. I said, we need to test. We need to test now.
So you've had COVID before, so you know the symptoms or the oncoming of it again.
Not only have I had COVID before, for the last 2 years, I have gotten COVID a week or the week of U.S. championships for the last 2 years.
Wow.
So this was the first. This is the first year that I didn't show up to U.S. championships with COVID or with just coming out of COVID. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm good. I'm not catching COVID this year. It's going to be great. Here it is again, the worst time in the world.
But you feel good. You going through the rounds. You feel fairly good. I think you draw Tobago in the semis. And you look, Noah, I think you ran a 1950. I think he was in the race and he ran 1957, but it was a nip and tuck race. So
no. That wasn't this meet. That wasn't this.
No. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you were in a race previously.
Oh, yeah.
That you won the race, but you.
Kenny, I ran, oh gosh, I can't remember if it was 53 and he ran 57 or 56. It was at U.S. championships. But that was,
Right. But you raced Tobago, so he has great. He's 44. He's low 44 in the 400. He's got sub 99 in the 100. So he probably on a good day he probably can go sub 19.6.
Oh, 100%.
You're probably thinking I'm probably going to need to go sub 19.6, maybe even 19.5 in order to win this, given who's in this race. Correct?
I wasn't even thinking about that. Because going into the meet, before I went over to London, I'm doing practices. I'm asking my coach, what do I need to run to prove to you that I can break this world record in the 200? And he tells me the time and I do it. So in my head, I'm in world record shape.
Wow.
So it's not about the competitors. It's how well can I run my best race. But as soon as I get COVID, I'm like, oh my gosh! Like now, I'm just trying to make sure that I get through every round. Now I'm going to be able to be as fit as possible. You know how I was talking about having a plan before I got to the rounds and the hundreds? Yeah, I had a plan before I got to the 200. Now my plan's out the window.
Right.
You threw it out.
Yeah, I'm right now. I'm just trying to get as healthy as possible. They put me on the medication, the COVID medication, and that stuff is amazing. I'll tell you, it supposedly gets rid of most of the symptoms, and it shortens the time period that you actually have COVID. That stuff is amazing. But of course, still, having asthma, it has an effect. So I'm just trying to go through, warm-ups, trying to get as normal as possible each round. But and in my head, I'm trying to just throw away any negative thought that I have. Again, keeping that confidence in the idea of I'm going to go into this believing that I'm in the best shape of my life.
Mm-hmm. I like that. This is really dope and really fascinating. I mean, obvious for me, and listening to how you guys transition. Like when you think about the 200 meters, you think about the 100 meters. So your 200-meter race, to me, I would think is a strategy and a mixture of speed and endurance. Is there a way you can break down the approach you take as opposed to the 100-meter?
Yeah.
And the way you approach the 200-meter when it comes to strategy?
Yeah, I'd say the in the 100. The way that me and my coach break it down is first to 60, and then and then my top end speed will hit around 80 meters, and then I'm just holding positions. If I try to run any faster after 80 meters, I'm likely to start breaking down. In the 200, I feel that it's a constant building up. I'm constantly just building up speed, building up speed, building up speed. I'm very conscious of where I'm positionally in the lane. I want to be in the middle of the lane to middle outside. And then when I come from the turn to the straight, I move straight to the middle or middle inside. And slingshot. And off of that, you can relate it to NASCAR. They go up wide and then they come back.
Slingshot up the turn.
Yeah, and come that
Very similar in the 200. Using that speed. And then, just maintaining, upright running positions. After a while, when you've run it so many times and you are striking the ground with straight legs directly underneath your hips, it's easy to run fast. It just feels like you're on a skateboard and you're just kicking, pushing it along. That's the mindset that I kind of have as I'm running the 200 specifically, because it's just momentum building and building and building. You don't really want it to slow down. Unfortunately, that was not the strategy that I went in with in this 200, because I felt that throughout the whole rounds, I had to constantly build up my energy just so I can get to baseline Noah. So by the time I got to the finals, I'm like, if I don't bring out the energy that I normally do, I don't think my body would react in the same way. I gotta get it back to baseline so we can give myself a fighting chance in the whole race.
Wow. Is there a preference of lane? Because I didn't think you wanted Kenny Benerick that far outside of you and Tobogo that far outside of you. A lot of people like lane 6, 7, 5, 6, 7. I think you were in lane 4. So what's your lane preference? Given if Noah Lyles is 100% healthy and his training has been great leading up to the meet, what's your lane preference?
6 or 7. I've had my fastest times in 6 and 7. I can do damage in anything from 4 to 8. Once you go below 4, it gets real difficult. That turn gets really tight, and the way that you have to position your body it strains the body to get around the turn so that you can give yourself a fighting chance on the second 100.
Yeah. That's a really tight turn when you're on the inside lane. Yeah, you got to be hugging that inside lane.
Yeah, and what's crazy,
you got to be really.
What's crazy is Michael Johnson broke the world record in lane 3, because that used to be technically a preferred lane. I don't know how he did that, because I've run in lane 3 quite a few times. That is not a preferred lane in my opinion.
The lady that broke the Margarina Coke, she broke the world record in lane 2 in the 400 meters.
I know. But I ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna, there was some testing going on state.
That was a wild time.
You and I we'll talk about that offline. So okay, you got COVID and everybody seemed to be making light of the situation that you like, I need water, I need to get so you like, did you ever think about pulling out the race? I'm surprised they let you race because normally COVID, you get COVID, we can't have you contaminate anybody else. Did the officials say, no, we got to quarantine you for 24 hours. You might not be able to race. Was that ever a conversation?
Yeah, that was a conversation. While I was getting tested, I was talking with the Team USA doctors, and they were telling me what the rules are. They changed them from Tokyo. They said that anybody who has COVID is allowed to compete. It's up to the governing body of their sport or their country to decide how they want to handle the COVID situation. So, you know, okay. I'm just to let you know, there were a lot of people in the village who had COVID, you know, that just didn't say it. I'm just the most popular person who got COVID and actually said I had it. Yeah. And because of that, it stirs up a lot of controversy in itself. But, you know, as soon as I heard I got COVID and I was able to compete, I said, I'm going to try. You know, I'm not promised tomorrow. So I'm gonna take advantage of what I have today. And if it's so be it that I'm not strong enough to make it through the rounds, then I wasn't able to do it. But the fact that I was able to get to the finals and still grab bronze, I was like, that's a medal that I could have easily just said, nah, I got the gold, I'm good. No, I'm here now. I fought for this for 4 years. Yeah. I trained for this for 4 years. Why not take the opportunity?
Obviously, you know the mythical number that's out there, 1919. Yep. You've taken down the American record held by Michael Johnson. He broke that record in 1996 at the Olympics. Actually, he broke it at the trials of 1966, the 1979 record. So he's went up. 1972 was the world record, if I'm not mistaken, Noah, in 79. But it was at altitude. Michael broke it at sea level in Atlanta. So you know you're going to have the perfect race. Mm-hmm. It's going to have to be the perfect surface. And it's going to have to be the perfect, you're going to get the perfect lane. And you're going to have the perfect competitors. Everything's going to have to be perfect, Noah.
No, yeah. But that doesn't mean it can't happen. You know, I'm very aware of that. I'll be ready on the day, you know. I can't be ready on every day. I try to be as ready as possible, and that's, you know, what I strive for. You know, I know that perfection is never a thing that you can actually obtain, but on my journey for perfection, I can obtain history.
Yeah, I like it. Speaking of that journey and where you are right now at the top of your game, the best, the fastest in the world at what you do. Many would view you in a way that most would see, obviously, the villain. Mm-hmm, yeah. In a sense, you know, being at the top, people taking shots at you, you being somewhat brash and confident in the way you carry yourself and the way you do your job, and that is okay. Do you embrace being the villain in some sort of way and enjoy some of the banter back and forth, or I'm just curious how you feel about it, because, you know, you always hear some of the things from other athletes saying stuff and you firing back. I mean, how do you take it personally? Do you enjoy it? Do you like it? And just before you answer, like for me, myself, as a villain myself, I love being in that spot. I like it. I like people talking about me. I like the trash talk back and forth. I'm just curious, how do you feel about it?
I have a mixed view on it. In the sport itself, if we're talking about straight running, you're better than me, I'm better than you, I don't have a problem with it. I love it. Right. You know, I love the banter. Okay. I love the energy. I love going back and forth. I don't have a problem with that at all. That's what I've loved to see. That's what gets everybody excited. Now, when people lie on my name outside the sport, that's when I draw issues and draw lines. But unfortunately, I can't
disconnect.
You know, I can't. I can only do my best. But, you know, I'm very aware that people are going to want to hear what they want to hear. And some people are going to take things different ways. And that's just how we are as humans. You know, everybody has their difference of opinions. Unfortunately, that is where I got to remind myself of that. You know, the haters are going to hear what they want to hear, but the people who support me, they're going to want to hear what they hear as well. And at the same time, I see so many people who are affected by what I do in a positive light that I'm like, okay, you know, this makes me feel good. You know, it's very comforting to see that and know that, you know, I'm changing sport. You know, I'm trying to move forward as much as possible. In terms of being the villain and being the hero, I see myself as an anti-hero. Sometimes you got to get your hands dirty, and sometimes, you know, you got to try and shoot for the stars. But we're not perfect. We're human. You know, we make mistakes.
Most
you know, and we try to do better. You know, I would hope we try to do better. But yeah, I mean, one of my I feel biggest strengths is, you know, I listen to the people around me, and when I mess up, I try to correct those wrongs and do the best and do better next time.
Yeah. One thing I can say is when you reach for the stars and you get your hand dirty and you combine the two, it creates someone extraordinary. So from one to another, keep doing it the way you're doing it and keep making noise.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
No, I think you got a lot of pushback. You run the world championships last year, and unprompted, you said you see these hats and they have world champions on it, which we've always called the basketball players. We've always called the NBA, the NFL, the Super Bowl champ. We've always called MLB. We've always called them world champs. And I think that's where a lot of the blowbacks, because it seems like one of America's best athletes was taking a shot at some of America's best athletes. And I think it kind of put you under the eye, because then, you know, basketball players said what they said, some football players chimed in also. And then for the first time, I actually saw some of these athletes like openly rooting against you. I mean, you might not, something you would probably never see in another country. You're not going to see the Dutch, somebody from Dutch, rooting against Femke or rooting against Karsten, he's from Norway, or Ingebrigtsen. We're not going to see that. Do you think you brought some of this on yourself with that comment, or what were you hoping to accomplish by making that comment?
I think the last question that you asked, what was I trying to accomplish by making the comment, is the most important one.
Yes.
Everybody sees the clip. Everybody sees the thumbnail. Everybody sees the 16 seconds. But did anybody decide to ask, what was the question that was asked to me? The question that was asked to me is, how do you feel knowing that when you go back to your own country, unlike these other countries that celebrate their athletes on such a humongous stage, when Taboho won his gold medal, he went back to a stadium filled with 30,000 people celebrating him.
Yes.
When I showed up back home on my flight, of course, some people recognized me, and I'm very thankful for that. But there was no 30,000 people. There was no limo driver ready to take me home. There was no bus waiting. If I had my mom, I had my pops, and they were ready to take me home, and I was ready to go to bed. But there was none of that. There was none of that. But the difference, I can understand the difference, because we have a different way in America of seeing our sports. The problem that I had was you were given the title of a world champion to people who weren't facing the world. That's where I drew the line and said that's hurtful, because you already have those, but you're giving the title to people who aren't doing that. Nothing wrong with being a national champion.
But let me ask you this.
They are great champions. They just didn't have the title.
Is Nikola Jokic one of the best players in the world?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who that is.
Okay, Luka Doncic.
I've heard of him.
Is he not one of the? Okay, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, he's okay. What's the question? Are they good? They're great. They're great players. Great players.
But they're world players. They're not from America. And the problem that you're going to run into, Noah, is that Botswana doesn't have a whole lot of athletes to celebrate, as opposed to Americans. If you look at probably Kenya and Ethiopia and Sudan and some of these other countries, the Dutch, the Norwegians, we got NBA, we got MLB, we got football, we got baseball. And so, yeah, teams, they have parades. Nobody is getting, for the most part, even Michael Phelps. I don't know if did they have, how many people showed up at M&T? I don't know if Michael Phelps won 8 goals. I don't know if he had 30,000 show up. I know they might have had a big contingent cheering him on, I just think that the difference is, Noah, is that in a sport, in a country like Botswana, or you're talking about a country, he's their hero. He is to Botswana, he's LeBron James. That's what he is to Botswana.
Yeah. I agree.
Usain Bolt, what he is to Jamaica, he's their Michael Jordan.
I agree.
And when Michael Jordan was in Chicago, they showed out for the parade, but probably when he went back to Wilmington, where he was from, ain't no 30,000 show up for him.
No, I agree. 100%. I'm not expecting that. I'm not expecting the parade. I'm just showing that the difference of how our sport is shown because the question that was asked again was, how does it feel knowing that when I go back home, it's not with somebody like Taboho is getting when he goes home. And again, I know what it is. I know we have, football and basketball, baseball, golf. Those are all above my sport. I know that. I'm cool with that. Of course, I want to make that better, but I understand that. Again, the only problem I had was you have world champions, but you're giving the title to people who aren't facing the world, and you're giving them the title of world champion. That's the only thing.
World champion, yeah.
That's the only thing.
Me personally, Noah, I think your two biggest meets are the Olympics and the World Championships. And the Diamond Leagues, I mean, if you stream it, you can see it. It's not as televised as, say, football or basketball or baseball. And so it's hard for the for the cash person. Everybody has a favorite team. Whether, the Cowboys fans, they're all over the place. The Steelers fans, the Packers, whomever. And so it's hard when I only really get a chance to see Noah Lyles maybe 3-4 times in a 4-year span, in a 4-year cycle.
I agree. 100%. It's something that I talk to World Athletics, USATF, the Diamond Leagues constantly about. I mean, you know what the hardest pill is going to be for us to swallow as a sport? Sprint just came out. It's successful around the world. It's successful in the US. They're about to come out with another season, and it's going to do great. The hard part is that we as a sport are not ready for the popularity that is going to come. Everybody's going to say, I want to be a track and field fan. I want to follow Fred. I want to follow Noah. I want to follow Arion. Guess what? We don't even have a place to tell them to go to watch the track, because it's in every other different country, a different place. And you got to get a VPN, and you got to find your own website. You got to go on these back alley places to just watch regular TV in a different language. We ourselves are not ready infrastructurally wise to say, hey, world, come on. We got something amazing for you. And that's the hard part. We just, the rights just for the Diamond Leagues just got dropped by NBC and moved the flow track. Now we're putting it behind a paywall and making it even harder for fans to become new fans.
Yeah, to watch.
It hurts because I knew this was going to happen. I knew that that sprint was going to be successful because we have great athletes, great stories. The sucky part is we are not ready for it yet. We need to get ready, and we need to do it fast because it's coming to LA.
Is the event you're talking about is Michael Johnson? What he just launched? I think he got Sid McLaughlin. I think he had a couple
Grand Slam track.
Grand Slam track. Yes. Have they approached you about being an active participant in this?
I've been in talks between me, Michael, and my agent. We've been in talks since the day I heard about it. Trying to get as much information, trying to get as much a feed on it. A feel for what's going on. There's a lot that I like that he's doing. There's a few things that I think could be a little better, but the thing that's stopping me at the heart of it is I have yet to hear a TV provider. Again, what good is it if we're producing these great times, these great shows, these great rivalries, and we have
nobody sees it?
And because now we get to the problem. We're in the same problem with the Diamond Leagues and with World Championships. I need to hear a TV provider, and I need to know that it's going to be able to get seen consistently.
Yeah, I think and that's one of the important things to grow the sport is the exposure. You have to have the exposure. You have to have the visibility. Also on the back end of that, and what I like is the more personalities that we have in track and field, those that don't just go out and do their job and just do it quietly, but make noise while they're doing it. It creates a certain excitement for people that don't watch or just might be just casual fans to want to tune in. Yeah, it forces and it makes people want to tune in and see what's going to happen, especially when you have guys that are polarizing like yourself, that have the personality and have the enthusiasm and this certain aura about them that makes you want to watch, even if you're not a track fan. But again, man, the TV exposure and visibility is very important, and it's sad in 2024 that it's not where it should be, where more people can watch it.
No, I know you didn't participate in the 4x1. But what was your level of disappointment? Because if you look at what they ran in qualify, they ran 37.40. 37.40 would have won the gold. If I'm not mistaken, Canada ran 37.50, which won the gold medal in the time that they qualified with. And one of the problems that I have, you was the only person that didn't run in the qualifying rounds. You were going to run anchor. Why would they move the championship, the world championship team, Coleman, handed the baton to Fred Curley? Why would you take Fred from second leg and put him on anchor when Fred has been running second leg for the last 2 to 3 big meets?
There's a lot I want to say, but I'm going to start with this. I first want to give props to that team for not throwing anybody under the bus after they did not complete the task. Because if we want to get better, we can't be blaming people. So I don't want to come out here and start blaming people.
No, I'm blaming the coach.
At the end of the day, that is usually the play. But therein lies the problem. How many people are in the coach's ear? That is the thing that gets USA in trouble. Because you got to know that some of these athletes are Nike athletes with Nike coaches. I'm an Adidas athlete with an Adidas coach. And some coaches' opinions, personal, are held at higher regard than other coaches' opinions. And when one person is taken down, i.e. me, it creates now a shift. And everybody wants to go into different places because they're a little bit scared and they're a little bit nervous and they want to do it a little different. And I feel in that vacuum of me leaving, it provided everybody a chance to say, okay, well, we can now switch it up a different way. And unfortunately, because of that, we weren't prepared. You know, those were handoffs that were not practiced when we practiced. And seeing it was what had happened was heartbreaking. It was truly heartbreaking because I believe there were in my head, there were two great options that we had. One was to use the team from the prelims that would have got the job done, and the other was to put Kenny on the anchor leg. Unfortunately, that's not the route that we went, and it just didn't get done. And it's heartbreaking to see. But
Noah, 5 Olympics, we haven't been able to get the baton around. 5?
All I know is every time I'm on the anchor, we win. That's all I know.
Well, if you needed to suck it up, you should have went out there with that mask on and sucked it up.
I was thinking about that when I was watching it.
We had Quincy Hall on, and Quincy said, I know you said you wanted to run not only the 4x1, but the 4x4. Quincy believes that you could lay down a blistering time in the open 4. What do you think what's your PR currently, and what do you think you can run with some training?
I haven't run the open 4 since high school. I think I ran like 47.4, but I've run 44 splits. I've run 45 splits multiple times. If I train, I'm put it like this. So Jareem Richards, he runs for Trinidad and Tobago. We train together. He is a 19.8 200-meter runner. And he decided he was going to focus more on the 400 this year. He was in that finals. He got 4th. Yes. Right? Maybe he got 4th? Yeah, he got 4th with 43.7. New national record. I believe it's in the all-time, top 10 all-time fastest times. 4th. He got 4th. My PR is 19.3 in the 200. And I have some pretty good strength on me as well. I truly would like to take a shot at the world record. If I decide to move to the 400 truly and give it my 100% for multiple years, Yeah, I'm going after the world record if I'm going in the 4.
Hold on. The world record in the 2 or the world record in the 4?
I'm doing it in the 2 as well.
No, do you understand?
That.
Do you understand those times? 43:03 and 19:19.
I'm gonna tell you this. My brain understands it. My body don't know the difference.
Ooh.
Wow.
I like that.
My body don't know the difference.
I like that.
Why would my body think that's a hard time? My body don't know that that's hard. If I keep telling it to get faster and faster, it's going to try and adapt. So it's going to keep moving towards that time.
Can I ask you this, Noah?
Hit me.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, 28 is going to be here before you know it. So that's 4 years away. And I know your pride. I know your baby. You got the goal in the 100 meters, but you're really known as a 200 meter guy. If you don't win the gold medal at the Olympics in the 200 meters, what is Noah Lyles going to tell himself?
I'm going to tell myself I'm still Noah Lyles. I'm still the man I was when I showed up and after I left. Of course, I want the gold. And I'm going to make sure that I try my 100% to get it done. But I will tell you that just because I don't have the gold, that doesn't make me less of a person. That doesn't make me less of a human being. That just means that I wasn't able to get the task that I set myself up for. But I will be so disappointed in myself if I didn't give it my 100%.
Mm-hmm. The Worlds will be here. If I'm not mistaken, the Worlds are in Tokyo.
They are.
That's gonna be here before you know
September.
it.
We going.
Is it what?
September?
Yeah, they're in September.
We going.
And I'm already pre-qualified because I'm the world championship in both, so I automatically get the bye.
So what are you looking to defend your crown in the 100 and the 200?
Of course. The way I'm going to see these next 3 years is I want to perfect how to handle the double. When I was going through the last cycle, Olympic cycle, I was trying to perfect how to make my 200 so good that I can run the 100. Now I've been able to have both of them. Now I want to say, I want to be prepared to run my fastest each and every round. I want to know the 100 like the back of my hand. I want to know the 200 like both of my hands. Yeah, I want to make sure that I am fully prepared, creating blueprints, going down each year saying, hey, when we get to the Olympics, when we get to LA, we're going to be so prepared that no matter what is thrown at us, we'll be ready for it.
When you think about that, having to be able to go round by round, whether it be the 100 or 200, then you have competition, understanding everybody's strengths and weaknesses. Then you have to push your body to a point to where you can go round by round where you don't have to exert that much energy and you're that much better than everybody else. When I sit here and think about it, do you understand how difficult a task that is to push your body to a point to where it's able to do that round by round and still win and run fast, but also come out on top and win the 1 and the 2?
Of course it's difficult. Of course everybody wants it. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Come on now. Yeah. I'm not here to do the easy. I'm not here to do the mundane. That's not what excites me. I want to do the things that nobody's done, the things that are hard, the things that challenge my body. The reason I like to get up and practice every day is because I like to see what my body can truly do. What if I push it and do everything right to the fullest, what can happen? I want to see that every time.
No, can you provide some context? There's this Time magazine story that came out that revealed that while you were negotiating your contract with Adidas, they offered you an invite to a shoe release for Anthony Edwards. And I think everybody's read the quote. Can you provide context for what transpired? I mean, we don't need to get into negotiations, but what transpired is what's being reported. How accurate is that?
So what was going on at the time? I was in negotiations for over a year with Adidas to get the contract. Them offering me, to go to Ants for shoe release had nothing to do with the contract. They just thought it would be cool that I would show up as one of their Adidas athletes. Unfortunately, they asked for it very late. They asked for it at probably about 2 weeks in advance, and I was already scheduled to walk in the Hugo Boss show in Milan, which was a day and a half before his shoe release. So at first we were trying to figure out ways that we can get there. And it was like, yeah, this isn't good. This isn't gonna work. There's no way that I'd be able to walk and then get on the flight and have energy enough to be able to go to this event, because it wasn't just a shoe release. They were also going to, have us go to a little baby concert, and we were going to be just signing autographs. It was going to be a lot. And I was already drained from, flying over, already doing the fashion shows, doing the walks, going to other events. I was already drained. I'm like, there's no way that I'd be able to physically do this.
What I know, I agree with you. Flying overseas, as in it's someone that's flown overseas and then come back, you're kind of jet lagged. But you probably should have left it as that. It's that the other stuff where you get into trouble, where people is picking apart what you said, is because, like, hold on, I'm the world champ and he's getting this, and you have the wherewithal, the forward thinking to see that he's going to be special. And why can't you guys see that with me?
Now, I will say, being very vulnerable in this moment, I felt very unheard at that moment with Adidas.
Okay.
I felt very unheard. And and to give an example, people do a lot of things. What do you do when you feel unheard? You try to shout louder.
Yes.
And I felt that I have had many conversations trying to shout, and it hadn't gotten through.
Right.
And unfortunately, that was one of my moments where I felt I had to shout to even get them to look my way. In that Time article.
I got you.
And because they asked me if I wanted to take it out. And I decided I was not going to, because I had to stand on my decision at that moment. I felt that I had to shout to get even a conversation about what I wanted to happen or what was going on at that point to move forward. Could it be handled better?
I mean,
probably. Was there more ways to do it? Probably. But in that moment, I felt that I had taken so many steps in other ways that I had to shout at this moment.
Ocho, let me ask this one follow-up.
Yeah,
do you regret your decision not to have that removed from the article?
I don't believe so at the moment. This conversation could be had in a year and I could have a different answer. At this moment, I do not feel so. Because I still feel if I did not shout at that moment, I would not have had the preamble to, oh, he is serious. And when I said it at the Olympics, they knew it was still on my heart.
Wait, Joe.
No, I was good. I was good because you hit on what I was going to piggyback and ask as well.
Another question, Noah. In track and field, there have only been two men that's ever had a shoe: Michael Johnson and Usain Bolt. Two.
Yeah.
Michael Johnson had the world record in the 100 and the 200, and he don't know anything but gold medals. I think he's a four-time world champ in the 400, two-time world champ in the 200. He's a two-time champ in the 400, and he's a one-time champ in the 200. And I just say Usain Bolt. I don't need to say anything else. Why do you believe that you deserve to be in that category with those guys, looking at their accomplishments, not to say you're not done yet, but looking at their accomplishments, looking at yours? Why did Noah Lyles believe he deserves a shoe?
The reason I believe it is twofold. One, we look at Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson he's a track guy through and through. That's all. He's track, and he loves track, and that's what he decided his lane was going to be. I don't feel that in his time period we had the social media, we had the marketing, the self-marketing to be able to push it forward. Of course, he had Nike, and Nike was doing very well, but they wanted to keep it. I don't think that they really wanted to keep pushing it, and I don't know if Michael Johnson wanted to do the work or not to market it as well. No, I don't know how much they had in their contract to keep that shoe alive. That's where I'm going to leave it with that. The time period wasn't right. With Usain Bolt, the CEO that actually gave Bolt his shoe is now with Adidas. And I've had conversations, and I think Usain was very excited in the moment, and then he got excited about something else when it was time to do, the underground work, the marketing, the commercials and stuff like that. And that scared a lot of companies, I think, in that moment. Also, Usain is Jamaican. The marketing in the US is different. I feel one of our in the US it turns out when it comes to marketing. Entertainment and marketing is the US's bread and butter. We know how to do that. Like that's just our thing. So now that I'm an American in a time period where self-marketing is very popular and it is very, it's strong. Everybody wants to do it. Everybody's looking at it. They want the brand. They want the identity. A person's identity is more marketable sometimes than a brand at times. And now we see them as brands.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I can do the work. I know that I can get the medals. But at the end of the day, I think that it comes down to, guys, you now have the title of the world's fastest man. What do you do with that title? You tell them, don't you want to have the shoes of the world's fastest man? Don't you want to put those shoes on your feet? I'm wearing the same shoes of the world's fastest man. It's going to make me so fast. It's the same thing with Michael Jordan.
But the shoes that the world fastest man wears track spikes.
No, he only wears track spikes on the track. But he trains in tennis shoes. And when you see him out, he's in tennis shoes. And when people go out and run marathons, they wear tennis shoes. And when you're in the gym, you wear tennis shoes. Guess what? Tennis shoes. Everybody wears tennis shoes. And the only reason that you don't see more marketing for tennis shoes and individual runners is because they just haven't done it. But why are we saying just because it hasn't been done means it can't be done?
Yeah. I mean, if it was going to happen, the timing is now. The timing is now, especially while the stove is hot, as I'll call it. Right now, the stove is hot. You are the stove, and while it's hot, you take advantage of that. And there's always a market for everything, no matter what it is. Everything is marketable, especially when it has the right push and people behind it. So there's really no excuse on their end, and this is why we need certain individuals in positions of power to make these things and transitions a little bit easier. And it shouldn't have to be a fight. We have to yell and scream all the goddamn time to get shit done.
Well, Noah, you're gonna have to start posting a little bit more on IG. Usain has 14 million IG followers. You got 1.5. Give us your IG handle. You on IG and Twitter?
Nojo18 at Lyles Noah on Twitter. Nojo18 on TikTok. I mean, Usain has had his career. I'm still in the middle of my career. Don't worry, we're still constantly.
Let's get the man followed. Go out and follow Noah Lyles at the apps that he just gave you. It's been a pleasure. 3-time world champion in the 200 meters, 1-time champion in the 100 meters at the Worlds, Olympic gold medalist, anchored the World Championship team last year. Go ahead, Ocho.
I just want to know, before you go, how nervous would you be if you had to race me? I'm just curious. I'm just thinking about it.
I'm gonna be pretty nervous for you. Yeah. I don't want you to catch a cramp.
I know that. Before we get down here.
This was a hypothetical. I was just curious. I wanted to know how nervous you would be, but you think I would catch a cramp. But I drink pickle juice. I'll be fine.
All right, then.
Ocho, I forgot. I forgot this one, Ocho. We forgot it. Tyreek say he wants some of you, Noah. I can't believe you know who Tyreek is. Don't do that, Noah. You know who Reek is.
I'm gonna be honest. I forget his name all the time. I'm gonna be honest. If it's not about track and it ain't about League of Legends, I got what I studied.
He said, "Come get some."
Hey, I'm gonna put it like this. Tyreek is just chasing clout. The man, anytime somebody fast comes up, he says he wants to race him. If he really wanted to race people, he would have showed up like DK Metcalf. And the man raced in the 60 meters this year in the Masters division. The man dodges smoke. I don't got time for that.
I like it.
Reek, hey, Reek,
he calling you out.
Hey, you know what? Let's get a couple. Let's see if we can get some sponsors. Would you be willing to race Reek in a 60 or 100 if we got some sponsors to put some money up?
Challenging me.
Well, see, you got to do 60. 100.
We can race if he's serious about it. If he's truly serious about it, I'm not talking about you just talking on the internet and you ain't actually coming to me and talking to my agent and saying, let's set something up. You are seriously about it. You'll see me on the track.
Ooh. All right. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. The current fastest man in the world, Noah Lyles. Noah, thank you for giving us some of your time.
I appreciate you.
Thank you for the opportunity, guys.
Salute.
All right.
Most
We'll
definitely.
see you down the road. Good luck. Hey, you got any meets coming up? Are you done for this year?
I'm done for this year, man. I'm shutting it down.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Best of luck, bro. And congratulations on the 100-meter goal, the bronze and the 200-meter. Get healthy, and we'll see you next year in the world.
Yes, we will.
Good luck, bro.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man. Noah Lyles, ladies and gentlemen.